That's 8 Ball Aiken and a Sleepy. Well, someone who's not going to make you sleepy if you've seen them perform,
sure.
Yes, certainly not. It's all energy, all entertaining. It is the Hillbilly Goats, and the Goat Boy himself, Bryce, is joining us tonight. Bryce, thanks for joining us, mate. Thanks for taking the time out.
How are we, listeners?
Mate, I think they're all pretty stoked. Congratulations also on the nomination finalist in the Golden Guitars this year for the Best Bluegrass Song with the old classic, Rabbit in a Log.
Thank you very much. It was quite interesting walking the red carpet this year.
Oh, you know what? You turned a lot of heads, and for some people who didn't know who you were or hadn't seen you before, all of a sudden they had to find out about you. And I hope all those people that were like, who are these guys, raced out and bought your albums and all that sort of stuff, because you did cause a bit of a scene on the red carpet.
We seem to cause a bit of a scene wherever we go. Did you hear about our massive achievement on the red carpet?
Go on.
Okay, so in an English newspaper, a few days later, there was Amber Lawrence, who's a friend of ours, dressed in her wonderful outfit.
Yeah.
And then in the background, there was a photograph of the Hillbilly Goats. And she was voted in an English newspaper the best dressed on the Australian catwalk for the 2016 Country Music Awards, Golden Guitar Awards. And we were voted the worst dressed on the catwalk for 2016 on what could have been leftover Halloween costumes. Mohawk, corsets, fishnets. What were they thinking?
But do you know what? That's fantastic, because any news is good news.
No such thing as bad publicity.
Nope.
Oh, we weren't upset at all. We actually took it as one of the major compliments of our career so far. So, because that's what the Hillbilly Goats do. We're completely different, and shoes and champagne and sparkles just don't fit into our category.
I couldn't quite see it. I don't think the goat would go well with it.
No. Look, we're going for alternate album of the year next year, and I mean, whether that gets through or not, but if it does and we get to walk the red carpet again, next time I think we're going to get some wheels and we're going to tow the fiberglass goat in.
You're going to have to. You have to.
Definitely. Let's really go one step backwards as far as the reviews go.
Let's see if we can get headlines in that overseas paper once again.
That's right.
Country music, as you know, Bryce, is a very broad church these days, but a lot of the traditionalists will tell you that it all started out with bluegrass and Bill Monroe all those years ago. When did the fascination for bluegrass for you happen?
I'm going to correct you there. Bluegrass started in the 1940s, and it is also so that was probably about 20 years after the Big Bang of country started. Now, country music and bluegrass music all come from basically from up in the mountains of the Appalachian Mountains, and it was the history of the immigrant music of the Irish, the Scottish and the Africans. So the music that we play goes way back before that, although it's very similar, but the rhythms are played a bit differently. The banjo was played completely differently, and our music, the earliest song that we've recorded is from the year 1710. So we go from about 1710 to about 1936. So, there's a few hundred years of history in what we're doing.
That's awesome.
That is great, isn't it? And it's and you obviously very much love the traditional side of it, but putting your modern day touch on it.
Absolutely. Look, we add the bones into it. We do Appalachian mountain dancing, our own version of it. We do kick drums with banjo and harmonica. So we do our own version of it. But we just set out. We wanted to go and play the festivals in Australia, and songwriting for us didn't sit so well. So we were thinking, how can we get onto those big stages? We started researching this style of music and realised that we were the only ones actually telling a whole story and a history lesson on that style of music, and it's just become quite huge for us. It's actually become much bigger than we ever thought it would be, and we're just so blessed with the places that we get to go and the people we get to meet and the festivals that we get to play.
Remember back to, and this will be for you, Trace, remember the movie George Clooney was in, Oh
Yes.
Brother, We're
Yep.
Out There? You
Yep.
loved the music in there, and you could see a lot of that style of the music that the Soggy Bottom Boys and all of that sort of stuff did. You could just see the Hillbilly Goats doing that. Are there any of those songs that you pick up from that era?
Well, we occasionally play Constant Sorrow, but look, that was the, apart from the traditionalists who have been listening to this style of music, that was the movie that brought back the old-time music and the old mountain music and the old hillbilly music. That movie made it cool for people to listen to it again. So, and also that was around the time when we invented our whole story. So that movie had a huge influence on what we did, and there's a whole lot of other movies that have come out since then and before then. And our biggest passion is actually researching the music and finding out exactly where it came from. So Oh Brother We're Out There was a massive part of what we do.
Well, folks, if you want to see these guys live and you live on the sunny coast and you think, oh, they're all the way down south, well, the guys have actually moved. You're up in Gympie now, aren't you?
We've moved out the back of Gympie, yes, and
Beautiful
we've
country.
moved from Port Douglas to Gympie. Try and work that out.
Yeah.
But there is a good reason. We need to be closer to Brisbane Airport because of our flying schedule. So we have moved down this way, and you know, Gympie has the Country Music Institute. And we've been to a few events around here, and far out there's a lot of musicians around this area.
You
so
better
it's quite
believe it.
inspiring.
And Queensland, we are the best country music supporters, and Sunny Coast supporters are pretty darn good too. And you can catch these guys this weekend right here on the Sunny Coast at the Peregian Beach Hotel this Saturday night, and find out exactly how much energy these guys bring with them to do their bluegrass.
All right, folks, kick your shoes off, put your hoe down, and hang on to your britches. Rabbing and a log is coming your way.